Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's DealerOn webinar, Drive Sales and Service by Joining the YouTube Revolution. My name is Eliana Raggio and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. For anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our amazing SEO, the absolute best customer service, and the highest converting website designs in the industry, including the brand new Chameleon responsive website platform. We're so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that DealerOn is still the only company in the industry that offers a money-back lead guarantee program. You heard me. Does your website company guarantee you a 50% lift in leads or your money back? Well, maybe you should check us out at our gorgeous brand new DealerOn website at DealerOn.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We're so very pleased to have Peter Leto and Phil Sura as our presenters today. Peter Leto is an automotive industry strategist on the Google Automotive Dealer Jumpstart team. He's responsible for providing automotive partners with scalable business solutions to further develop their regional and local advertising strategies. Growing up in the Motor City, Peter started his career in TV ad sales with Turner Broadcasting, assisting the Detroit Three with national advertising programs. In 2008, he joined Google as an account manager in the Chicago B2B vertical, working with Fortune 500 companies primarily across the manufacturing and energy sectors. After 3 years of that, he returned to Detroit in his current role in automotive. Peter graduated from the University of Michigan with a degree in political science and communications, and he currently resides in Birmingham, Michigan. Now, joining Peter Leto today is Phil Sura, who started the automotive division of UnityWorks Media, a web video company supporting over 2,000 dealers and recognized as the video pioneer in the automotive space. Spending the last 10 years developing cutting-edge video strategies for dealers across the country, Phil has earned the nickname Mr. Video. Furthermore, Phil has presented at 17 out of the 18 digital dealer conventions. Also, various regional sessions sponsored by companies like Auto Trader and Car Soup, and numerous webinars for companies like Automotive News and Digital Dealer. He has been a regular contributor to Digital Dealer magazine for the past 6 years, and Phil can be reached at phil@unityworksmedia.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to try to respond to you by email later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. Oh, and guess what? Our good friends at UnityWorks Media and Google, they're giving away 3 great prizes today on the webinar. 3 of them. You have 3 chances to win. First, you're going to have a chance to win a power bank battery. Who couldn't use an external battery for your phone, right? Then you're going to have a chance to win a Google Chromecast. I know everyone wants one of those. They're so cool. And finally, one of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a model video landing page for 5 months with a custom About Us video. This is a tremendous prize for your dealership, and it's valued at over $880. You have to be on the live broadcast to win it, though, so stay tuned, and you could be winning one of these awesome prizes today. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey, so fill it out because we're always looking for quality feedback from our audience. Today, we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. And hey, do you tweet much? Well, we hope you do. We'd love to see what you have to say about today's presentation, so please tag us in it. You can use hashtag DealerOnWebby. I'm at Eliana Raggio. You can also hit up Phil Sura at UnityWorks Media, and you can hit up Peter at Google Auto. We look forward to seeing what you're saying. So let's get started. Let's learn how to drive sales and service by joining the YouTube revolution. Phil and Peter, it's so wonderful to have you both back on the show again. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing fantastic, Eliana. It's great to be with you.
Great. And Peter, you're there too, right?
I am still here. Thank you very much for having us today. We're looking forward to the webinar.
So am I. And I love this. You're saying that it's a YouTube revolution. I kind of think it's been like a slow boil, and now it's kind of hit its peak. And if you're not doing YouTube, you're really, really missing out. And I know you guys have a lot of great information to get to, so let's not delay any further. Please tell the audience today the kinds of things they're going to be learning about.
Well, here's some of the key points that we'll be discussing. And we have some great analytics, some great metrics tied to video and the new car sales process. The second key point that we'll focus on is the importance of pre-roll and some of the mistakes and best practices that you should be doing as a dealer. The third objective will be discussing the impact of video on a website, video integration with email campaigns and video responses, and then we'll have a Q&A session.
That sounds like a great idea. Right now, though, we're going to get started with your poll questions, right, gentlemen? Okay, so we have 3 poll questions for you today. Guess what? We're getting through them all right now. Your first one is on the screen now. Please take part in our poll questions. We'd love to know what's happening at your dealership. The first poll question is here. It says, are you currently running a video pre-roll campaign? Please select one of the following answers. Yes, and it's working great for us. Yes, but we're unsure if we're doing a good job. No, but we did in the past, and we weren't that happy with it. No, but we're thinking about it. Or I'm unsure about video pre-roll. That's all right, too. Once we get a majority of those votes, we're going to skip on over to the next poll question. We do appreciate your answers on our poll questions. It really gives us an insight as to what's happening all across the country, and specifically what's happening at your dealership, but it also gives our instructors something to go on so that they can figure out exactly what points they need to hit. So your participation in these poll questions is very, very important. So we do appreciate it. We're working on the feedback issue. I know some of you said the feedback is awful. I do appreciate your comments, and I think it's much better now. Hopefully you'll agree. And we're going to close out this first poll question right now. Thank you so much for your votes, everyone. Let's share the results. Okay, 15% of today's audience said yes, they are currently running a video pre-roll campaign. It's working great for them. Now, 21% said yes, but they admit they're not really sure if it's really working for them or if they're doing a good job at it. Only 7% of today's audience said that they are not doing one, but they did it in the past, and they weren't happy with the results. Now, 27% said no, but we're thinking about it, but the majority, 30% of today's audience members, said that they're really not sure about video pre-roll, not sure if it's right for them. Now, Peter and Phil, do you have any comments about that?
Well, yeah, that sounds in line with what I would expect. Peter, do you agree?
I do, and for the 57% of you that are either not running video content today or are not sure about pre-roll as a whole, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by what we have to share with you, not only in terms of success metrics, but also measurability and accountability of what video advertising can do for your businesses.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to roll right into the second poll question right now. It's on your screen, everyone. Please take part in it. So the question is, have you ever been involved with video pre-roll campaigns for your service department? This is much more interesting now all of a sudden. Okay, so please select one of the following answers. Is it yes, and it's working great for us? Yes, but we're unsure if we're doing a good job. Service department? No, not yet, but we're thinking about it. No, management doesn't see value in doing a video pre-roll campaign for our service department. Or, I never considered a digital initiative for our service department. Once we get a majority of those votes in, we're going to close the poll and share the results. And audience, you guys are killing it on the poll questions today. Thank you so much. The votes are coming in so fast, and gosh, we really, really appreciate it. I'll give you a few more seconds to get your votes in, and then we'll close this poll and share the results. Some votes are still coming in. Thank you so much. Almost everyone has voted now. So let's close this poll, and let's see what the audience had to say. All right, only 1% of today's audience said yes, and it's working great for us. Only 1%, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. 7% of today's audience said yes, but we're unsure if we're doing a good job. Now the majority, 47% of today's audience said not yet, but we're thinking about it. 8% of today's audience said no, management doesn't see value in that. And 36% of today's audience said that they never even considered doing anything for their service department. We are having some bad feedback. All right, so I'm going to thank you so much, audience, for your feedback on that. Phil, anything to comment on that before I move on to question number 3?
Well, we, again, as to echo what Peter's comments were, for the 47% that said you're not yet involved but you're interested, we have some great content as well as examples, and Peter has been hitting this point pretty aggressively at some of the shows like Digital Dealer.
Agreed, agreed. Okay, so I think what's happening is we're getting feedback from Peter's line. So Peter, I just muted you. I'm sorry, buddy. I just muted you so that I could just get through this last poll question, and then I'll unmute you, okay? I apologize for that. Let's hide this poll question, and we'll just do one more poll question for everyone, all right? All right. Oh, my goodness. All right, your third and final poll question is on the screen now. And we want to know, are you currently posting do-it-yourself service videos to your YouTube page? Now, I imagine there's not going to be a lot of you who are going to say yes to that because there weren't a lot of you who said yes to actually doing a lot of videos or video pre-rolls. But I'm hoping that I'm wrong. So please let me know, are you currently posting do-it-yourself service videos to your YouTube page? Please select one of the following answers. Yes, and it's working great for us. Yes, but we only have a few videos. Not yet, but we're thinking about it. No, management doesn't see value in that. Or, again, I never even considered that option for our service department. Gosh, your votes came in so fast this time. Thank you, audience. You guys rock. Let's close this poll, and we're going to share these results. Okay, only 3% of today's audience said yes, and it's working great for us. 14% of today's audience said yes, but we only have a few videos. So basically, we have 17% of today's audience who said yes, they are doing something with service on their YouTube page. But the majority of you have not. For instance, 39% of today's audience said not yet, but we're thinking about it. 3% of today's audience said no, management doesn't see value in that. And 41% of today's audience, the majority, said that they never even considered this option for their service department. Very interesting. Phil, did you think that was interesting as well?
Yes, but again, expected because a lot of dealers do not recognize the opportunity. And again, Peter has some incredible stats tied to this that will hopefully convince everybody listening in that this should become one of the initiatives that they get involved with.
Excellent. I agree with that as well. Okay, I'm flipped back over to your slide deck, and I'm still trying to figure out where Peter is. So I don't know. He might be calling back in. So we're gonna hopefully you can take it from here.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes, Peter, you sound great. Thank you so much.
Is this a better connection? I signed out and signed in again. Are you still getting feedback?
No, you sound wonderful. I'm glad to have you back, sir. Okay, gentlemen, please take it away.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for having us. And Peter, thanks for being willing to join this session. And we've got a lot of information to share. We're going to initially talk a little bit about data. And these are some of the sources. So the sources are coming from a study that Google actually conducted, along with some inside information. And Peter, I'd like you to elaborate on those first two bullet points as far as where the data is coming from. The third point would be Cox Automotive and Auto Trader. And I was fortunate enough earlier in the year to attend a session where they had a number of presenters, some of the senior level folks from both Cox Auto Trader as well as Google. So some of the early slides in the deck are the stats are coming from multiple sources. Peter, you want to elaborate on the shopper path to purchase?
Yeah, thanks, Phil, and good morning and good afternoon to everybody across the country. In regards to the Google studies, as many of you are familiar with, each year we conduct an annual study that polls actual car buyers, over 12,000 actual car buyers, and we're able, in partnership with Millward Brown and Polk, to understand
how these buyers leverage the web throughout their path to purchase, and ultimately what vehicle they bought. And as a result, with the customer's permission, Millward Brown is able to follow the customer's path online to see what they interacted with, search advertising, social advertising, video advertising, etc., so that we can get a better understanding of what is influencing customers to make decisions. And so the resources that you'll see today, it's important to remember, are from actual car buyers, not intenders, not people who just were looking at cars, but they physically bought a vehicle. And we'll have this both on the sales side, and as Phil mentioned, there's a huge opportunity in service, which we're excited to talk to you about today. We have the same data, but cut on the service side, parts and service side as well. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
And Peter, if I'm not mistaken, the Google team is also putting together similar studies tied to pre-owned cars. That
that's
has
correct.
not been released yet. This data is tied specifically to service and new car purchases.
Yes, that's correct. But we continue to get great feedback from the field, partners like yourselves and the dealers who are probably on this call today, and we're always trying to cut our data for the need of the industry. So please keep your feedback coming.
All right. So in terms of a summation of some of the key metrics that I've walked away with in sitting through sessions with Google and teaming up with Peter in the past, at the beginning of the car shopping process, during the research phase, a high percentage of consumers are open to brand consideration, 72%. So this is new only. But if you think about that stat, what my conclusion was, there's virtually zero loyalty at this point. 72% of the folks that start this process will consider different options. Now, there's a 3.1 month window where consumers are going through this phase of research. Included in that 3.1 months would be almost 17 hours worth of research. The majority of that, and this should not be a surprise, 12.5 hours is online. A smaller amount, 4 hours, is going to be offline, 24 touch points, 24 research touch points leading the customer to a decision. And Peter, do you want to elaborate a little bit on the touch points and the amount of time offline versus online? Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say that two components. Pulse data indicated that 75% of the entire automotive research time is spent online. And, Phil already mentioned to the average dealership, down to 1.3 visits. That's clearly indicative of the research that we're doing online. As customers are going online, they're not only determining which makes and models to buy, but which dealerships to consider buying from. It's the reduction in retail visits or ups to your dealership. When we look at the current slide that's on the page today, 24 different research touch points on average. Again, every year Google has conducted this study looking at this automotive path to purchase. This is up from 18.6 resources just 1 year ago. Again, demonstrating the reliance that we have to conduct all this research, and with most of this research coming online. In fact, of these 24 different research touch points, which does include traditional and digital source, 21 of the sources are actually digital. So again, this just goes to support the impact that the internet is having on the car buying process and on your business.
All right, so at the end of all of this research, and this is another key point, so remember at the beginning, 72% of your customers are open to consideration. They go through all of these touch points, this entire process. At the end of the game, 70% of the new car folks that are buying cars have a specific model that they will select and purchase. So, and Peter touched on this, I actually have 1.2, maybe 1.3 physical visits. So it's 1 or 2 dealers are the lucky ones that actually will talk to these people doing all of this research. But the game is being won or lost before they come to the dealership. And so the key point, or one of the key questions that everybody should be asking is, well, how do we influence these people so that we're the lucky 1.2%? As a matter of fact, as I've shared this individually with dealers and general managers, I had one dealer kind of laugh and he said, well, really they target one dealership at the end of this research phase, and the 0.2 would represent the percentage of dealers that really drop the ball when the customer comes into that dealership, they're not happy, for a multitude of reasons, and they go on, and I think that's a very good observation. Now, dealers should be obviously transitioning as a result of the way that people are buying new cars today. They should be moving a percentage of their ad spend into the digital side. And some of the components that we'll be talking about today should be represented in that percentage of the ad spend. So are dealers moving? Absolutely. These are some stats that we have from NADA showing the percentage of the ad spend being allocated to digital. So within the digital spend, obviously a video component should be part of that 40% if you're average. So if your dealership is spending 20% of your ad budget on digital, you may want to revisit that as a management team. Peter?
Great, thanks Phil. I appreciate the intro, and again, it's nice to be with you guys on the webinar today. I really want to set up, and this is coming from the Millward Brown research that we discussed today, but really want to spend some time looking at what the research is telling us as it relates to video. To be truthful with you, I'm very excited about and bullish about video, and I ask you for a moment to just, think about your own personal experiences. If you have the opportunity to read a, one-page document or watch a 30-second video, what would you choose to do? And the reality of the situation is, for most customers, we love sight, sound, and motion. That's what gets us excited. That's what gets our emotions going, and has been really effective. And as you'll see in a moment here, has been essential in the automotive space. Now let's look at this current slide that's in front of you today. In 2010, just 3% of auto shoppers were leveraging video content throughout their research process. As you look to 2014, this number shot up to 64% of shoppers who are now leveraging video in their path to purchase. And as you can see, this is a 20x increase in online video use for vehicle shoppers in the last 4 years. And what I think is really interesting and important is that 54% of these customers are watching 30 minutes more of video content throughout this path to purchase. So clearly this is an avenue where customers are going and where they want to spend more time. In fact, as we move on to the next slide, when we speak about more time, there is no other platform, digital source that is growing faster than video sites. Video sites is growing at 32% year over year, compared with an average of 14% across other digital channels. Today, we are talking about video the same way we were talking about mobile in 2008. Video is so critically important in this process as more and more customers flock here. And you're seeing an increased emphasis in video from companies like Google and Facebook and others because of this consumer demand. The question now becomes, well, where are customers watching video content? And as you can see on the slide, about a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago now, in 2013, our OEM websites were the top destination for automotive-related content customers would consume, followed by your dealership sites. YouTube, of course, was in third-party sites, and then Facebook. In 1 year, look what happened in 2014, and look at where customers are going. They are now turning their attention to YouTube, with 48% of customers turning to YouTube for automotive video-related content in their path to purchase. The OEM sites are still prevalent on the page. The dealership sites have slightly declined. Facebook is increasing a little bit, and the third-party sites are there as well. Two things to mention on this slide. Number one, this speaks to the changes in consumer behavior and YouTube's importance in the marketplace to customers. It continues to grow. You've heard from the CEO of YouTube that time spent on YouTube viewership is up 50% year over year. This platform continues to witness extreme growth, and particularly in the auto spot. I do want to point out, though, your dealership websites are slightly declining in this chart in terms of where customers are looking for this content. And I challenge you to really think about what Phil has to say today. And right now, think about your own website. Do you have video content available for customers to watch? Is it on your VDP pages? What about for parts and service, as Phil mentioned earlier? Really take that home and evaluate that success. When we look at who's watching online video content, the reality of the situation is this is not just a millennial play. I think oftentimes we think of video and we think of the younger generations, but the reality of the situation is, and especially as time has gone on, video content is being watched by all age demographics. And in fact, we're seeing significant growth in key buying demos, 25 25 years plus all the way up. So this is exciting news. This is not just a millennial phenomenon. This is happening for all customers. The next question is, when we look at video, we often hear, well, again, if it's a younger generation, or maybe these are customers who are looking at volume brands. But as Phil would say to you, if you're interested in making money, it's good news, because luxury shoppers and shoppers for traditionally more expensive cars, hybrid vehicles and vehicles over 40K, over-index with video. For those of you who represent luxury shoppers, we know the luxury shopper tends to be an older demographic, but again, they over-index with video usage. These people are relying on video more so than the general population. So again, this points to a great opportunity for you to sell you more high-end vehicles. And the reality of the situation is, the beauty of video content is not only to generate awareness, but also get into the consideration set. And what we found with video content is, well, 64% of shoppers, of total shoppers, are leveraging video in their path to purchase. Customers are being introduced to new brands, brands they wouldn't have otherwise considered by watching video, and as a result, they're switching brands thanks to the video, or they're a first-time buyer to your brand, as you can see from the chart here as well. So again, this is a great way to drive interest and get in the consideration set, and of course do so in a very targeted fashion. As a friendly reminder, with video content, we can target down to, you know, a zip code level if you want, to your PMA, and you can really layer in rich data like bulk in-market shopper data, or even first-party data, which Phil will talk a little bit about as well, to reach these customers. So the on the next slide, when we look at these customers, these automotive shoppers who leverage video, in the Millward-Brown study, they said which ad formats help you learn about vehicles you haven't previously considered. And the #1 top listing from customers, 43% of customers responded online video ads were the #1 resource that helped introduce me to a new brand. Phil will show you specific examples of how you can make this actionable. But again, this is a great way to influence customers, as you see here. The good news for you, though, is it's not just about influencing customers. It's not just about getting into the consideration set and introducing them to your brand. Online video takes this a step further. Online video is actually driving actions as well, not just awareness, not just consideration. 73% answered they were able to narrow down options by watching videos, and the top 5 actions after watching videos are all listed on the right, with many of these being very lead-generating actions, the actions that we crave at the dealership. 41% of these customers indicated after watching an online video they visited your dealership. 35% were searching the dealer's inventory. You know, we've heard time and time again from DealerOn and other companies, you know, getting customers to those BDP pages increases our rate of conversion and are the most qualified leads that we can get. You know, and then they're also looking at searching for their mobile device for more information, and you know, sharing amongst social networks as well. So the question that we often get as it relates to video is, gosh, I know video is important, or I'm learning video is important, but what types of videos should I be looking at? What should I be creating for my customers to help them succeed in this space? And if you look in aggregate across all shoppers, you can see a few boxes that are highlighted here, but 36% of shoppers are looking for vehicles to a test drive type of a video. They want to see the car in motion, and they want to understand, you know, what they're going to get with that vehicle. 29% are highlighting the options on the vehicle and its features. They want to see what's under the hood. They want to understand the in-vehicle technology, etc. You can see the final breakdown. 26% want a vehicle walk around. Again, another really important component. This is something that you can do at your dealerships to be able to allow a customer to see the vehicle from their home and out of convenience for their time. But we can also break this data down to different demographics, if you will. And if you look at people who are brand loyal, they have slightly different asks. They want highlight vehicle options as well. The test drives remain strong. They want to see highlighting of vehicle options. They also want vehicle comparison videos. This is often something that we're not always able to do or willing to do to compare different vehicles. But again, they're looking at you as the expert, and you have a chance to help them understand why the vehicle you sell is better than another vehicle out on the market. As we keep cruising, we'll look at brand switchers, people who are not loyal to a brand. Again, we're seeing a little bit more in terms of vehicle safety coming into play. So if you are really needing to conquest another vehicle, this might be a good opportunity for you to talk about safety, also about financing information, and just your general advertisements are actually impacting customers here as well. Again, this gets back to the getting into the consideration set and driving that awareness for your brand. So what about parts and service? Well, as Phil mentioned and as Eliana mentioned, parts and service is a huge opportunity for our industry. According to the NADA in 2013, customers or vehicle owners in the United States spent $310 billion on vehicle repair, and our OEMs and dealerships captured just 27% of that market, less than a third of it. The majority of this money is coming from going to third-party rooftops. Online video works well with parts and service customers as well. 1 out of 3 drivers are actively looking for vehicle parts online, leveraging channels like YouTube to help open the door for them as they search for this information. And we know on the parts side and service side of the house, after watching a video, it also drives action. 25% of these customers will perform a search after watching the video. 34% went to the retailer that sells parts and accessories, and 37% purchase parts and accessories after watching online video. Many of these customers will choose to purchase online, which begs the question, are you set up for an e-commerce-like structure? That's something to keep in mind as well. And as you're looking at what type of videos to create for parts and service, it's really important to look at where customers are looking for guidance. And one of the biggest areas is in the DIY videos, the do-it-yourself videos. Now, for most dealerships, and understandably so, this can be a little bit contentious. Why would I ever want to create a DIY video for my customer? But the reality of the situation is these customers are looking for DIY videos for 2 reasons. Number 1, they're looking to educate themselves before they get into the dealership or third-party center. They want to have a little bit of background and do their research to understand what process they should expect and perhaps what they might have to pay. The second component of DIY videos often tends to be a customer who actually thinks they're going to perform this service, but physically looking at it to say, maybe I can do this myself. I would encourage you to create DIY videos to address both of those customers. Educate the customer who is trying to just get more research beforehand and let them know why your dealership is the best choice for them. And for the person who thinks they're going to DIY, do it themselves with the specific service, make sure you really highlight the benefits of bringing the car into your dealership. And did you know, by the way, that, yes, this is how you change your oil, but if you bring it into the dealership, we can do this for you. We'll give you 10% off, and we'll give you the 5-point multi-point inspection. So things of that nature will really help you drive awareness to say, maybe it's worth it to bring it in.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Peter. We did have a question that came in from Michael about your last slide, and I was wondering if you could answer it really fast, because this information is spectacular. But Michael wrote in, he wants to know, these numbers that you have up here, is this specifically for any retailer? Is it just for automotive dealers? And if it is for dealers, is it the same for independent dealers as well as, new car dealers?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thanks for interrupting, Eliana. This research that I'm covering right now on this slide for service is a research conducted across any automotive parts and service shop. So this would include both dealerships as well as independents. Ultimately, where are customers going and what types of videos are they seeking in general when they're looking for parts and service related information.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much. Yes, Michael, it seems that this research is specifically geared towards automotive and specifically towards people who are interested in service. So thank you so much. Peter, please continue. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No, thank you. Just a few more slides from my end, but just like the sales side, YouTube really plays a prominent role in the shopping process. When customers are looking for parts and service-related videos, even more so than the sales side, 55% of these customers are turning to YouTube, which is why so many of those poll questions were focused on parts and service, because this platform really shines. One thing that's missing from these other retailers that are on this page is your dealership. Again, do you have dealer videos, parts and service videos on your website? DealerOn actually produced a study a year or two ago that said despite the high profit margins from parts and service, despite the fact that it's what keeps the lights on at the dealership, just 2% of our websites today are dedicated to parts and service related content. And I would venture to guess that many of those websites don't have video content on there. So I encourage you to get video content on those sites so that you can move up in these rankings and displace some of these competitors that you see. We also know that it's important to watch online video, and we've taken a screenshot of just some of the videos that dealerships are putting on YouTube. And you can see just from looking at these still shots that some of these videos are very professional, probably hired a company to do, and others are maybe user-generated, if you will, with a smart phone or a flip camera or something of that nature. At the end of the day, you can see the number of views that these videos are getting across the board, you know, thousands of views and hundreds of views in some instances. And this is really important and impactful, and Mr. Video, Phil Sura, will talk to you about some of the videos that UnityWorks is creating in a moment.
And Peter, just to add on to this point, because I've had a number of GMs challenge me as to why, and you touched on this a little bit, why they should produce video content. This is, in essence, very inexpensive advertising, brand awareness of these dealerships in the market, and to your point, people are watching thousands, or they're getting thousands of views, and a dealer should not look at this as lost revenue opportunity from service and parts. They're going to find this video content somewhere. Why not get the recognition? Would that be a fair summation?
Absolutely. And, you know, to piggyback on that, Phil, one underrated value of videos, and specifically videos on YouTube, is, you know, you count the views there, but these videos can go viral so quickly. I mean, as you all know, we're in such a social world today that, I mean, just to put things in perspective, 500 years of YouTube videos are consumed on Facebook every single day, and 700 YouTube videos are shared on Twitter every minute. So the point of creating these videos, hosting them on a place like YouTube, allowing customers to see them, allowing customers to share these, I mean, they really extend the bang of their buck beyond even the points that we've collectively mentioned so far.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, quick question came in from Bruce. He says, these videos that you're talking about, though, these aren't the pre-roll videos that were discussed earlier. You're still going to get to that, though, right?
Bruce,
as a matter of fact, right now.
Right now, Bruce, look at that, instant gratification.
Great segue. I'm going to introduce you to a concept on YouTube called YouTube TrueView. And imagine this is your dealership. Somebody goes to YouTube, by the way, the second largest search engine in the United States. More searches happen on YouTube.com than any other platform with the exception of Google.com. It is the world's #1 video network. And when you look at this situation, imagine this is your dealership and the benefits that this can have. Here in this example, a customer typed in the Jeep oil change. Pretend you're a Jeep dealer. This customer is located in your primary marketing area, your area of interest. And right before they're going to watch a Chase Networks video on how to change your oil, you have the opportunity to say, this customer's in my backyard. I can perform this service for them. I'm going to run a commercial or pre-roll video before the video they intended to watch, before the Chase Networks video airs. And as you see in this video, you can start off the video, and after 5 seconds, a skip ad button will appear in the ad. And if a customer decides this is not worth my time, I'm not interested, they can simply skip your ad after 5 seconds and go on to their video. From an advertising perspective, though, this is really accountable advertising. Google is really challenging the industry to move beyond a cost per impression base of buying, pay for people just watching a video, to only paying if someone watches your video and watches it in full. So in other words, if a customer watches this video, the skip button appears, and if they decide to skip it after 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, or 29 seconds, you don't pay a dime. You only pay if a customer watches the ad in full. What do I mean by ad in full? Just to make sure there's no question on this. If you have a 15-second commercial, the customer has to watch all 15 seconds. If you have a 1-minute commercial, the customer, you will be charged for the advertising after it hits that 30-second mark. Okay, so the ad in full or up to 30 seconds. This is really accountable advertising, really efficient advertising, with average dealerships, depending on your marketplace, paying anywhere between 8 and 12 cents, 8 and 15 cents per view on average. And again, you know a customer decided to watch this video because they always have the option to skip. So with that, I would like to turn things over to Phil and the UnityWorks team to walk you through the presentation. Phil?
Thanks, Peter. And again, we appreciate it, everybody from across the country joining in. So let's talk about some actual case studies, look at some examples, and let's talk about some of the pieces that we're going to pick up from now. Peter just talked about adding video within YouTube, and one point that I've heard him say repeatedly when I've shared the stage is link everything into YouTube. Create a strategy where it's not just service videos. It may be introductions to the team, introductions to your store, but leverage YouTube because it's an inexpensive way, virtually free way to promote yourself. Let's move into video pre-rolls, a strategy. Next generation VIN walkarounds, VINs for your new and used cars. Next generation lead responses, and then leveraging video on your website. As we go through this, Google is obviously the powerhouse when it comes to paid search. They've made a fortune around the world with paid search. They're also the dominant player when it comes to pre-roll. In addition to TrueView, they own another company by the name of DoubleClick. We actually use both. We're a little more bullish on the DoubleClick side, but Google's the player to be with when it comes to pre-roll. We see the two complementing each other. In other words, paid search, which hopefully, and I assume everybody online is involved with, video pre-roll is complementary to paid search. It may be a little bit higher up the sales funnel, which is why it's above, but it's a critical way to communicate using video, which is more emotionally engaging than text, communicate specifically what your products are. So here's an example of a pre-roll spot. There are companies like ours that will produce it, do this turnkey. Regardless if you're doing it on your own or you're using a company like pre-roll, we have some suggestions. We feel that you should have some type of hook or some type of message to actually communicate to your prospect. So as I play this, you'll see in the first 5 seconds, as Peter had mentioned, the majority of the pre-roll spots, all 100% on the TrueView side. With DoubleClick, some of it may be non-skippable where the consumer is required to watch 15 seconds or 30 seconds. But the majority is skippable, so in 5 seconds you should get a message to communicate specifically why the consumer, this automotive intender, should be considering your dealership. You'll see that we have a hyperlink then. We're redirecting the customer to a page on the dealer's website. So let's go through this process.
Click on this video right now to take advantage of an amazing offer from Hurston's Kia. Click now to enjoy low 0% APR financing and $2,000 in bonus cash on a new 2015 Kia Sorento. Extraordinary comfort, luxury features, and world-class performance. The Sorento is anything but expected. So click now for an incredible deal on your new 2015 Kia Sorento from Hurston's Kia. We're conveniently located at 15551 Frederick Road in Rockville, Maryland.
The Kia Optima, a fusion of both.
Now, just so that there isn't any confusion, I'm going to mute the video, but we're now on a landing page on the dealer's website. So we recommend, A, if you're promoting a new model, at the minimum you direct them to, let's say, the search results pages on your website, or you have a video-enriched type of experience like this, where you have video content that first showcases that individual car. If we're doing conquesting for this Kia dealer, we may have people looking at this specific video where they've never considered a Kia. So in one of the previous slides that Peter touched on, a high percentage of the people, I believe it's 29% or 30% of the folks, are looking for a virtual test drive, if you would. And with this type of page, you have the ability to do that. The second piece that we would recommend is you showcase why somebody should come to your dealership. And so as we move into the third video piece, you'll see a testimonial followed by a why buy here or an about us type of video showcasing specifically to these prospects who you are. And again, the goal, if you remember the one of the early slides, the 1.2 or the 1.3 dealer visits, we're trying to give specific reasons to that customer. So I'm going to unmute it for a little bit.
In a Kia dealership. They treated me well, they had great selection, and they had the car I was looking for. I love my car. I can't get enough of it.
At Herson's Kia, we have a huge selection of new Kias to choose from and easy buying process.
Here at Herson's Kia, we try to make it as easy as possible for you to buy the car. So we try to make it fun and as stress-free as possible. You're going to love buying your car at Herson's Kia.
So best case or suggestions, best practices. We would recommend specific models. Periodically, we will do a branding campaign for all the models, but we recommend that you focus on automotive intenders and get a specific offer or a specific hook, a specific reason for the customer to go beyond 5 seconds. Use the 5-second opt-out 30-second ads. You have the ability to have 15 seconds or 30 seconds. The disadvantage, as Peter had mentioned, if you're using TrueView, and I've seen this repeatedly, if a dealer is using a 15-second spot that they're running on cable, you pay either for the completed view or 30 seconds. So if it's a 15-second spot, your cost per click and your cost per transaction will go up significantly. Some people will only watch 20 seconds. The more information that you're giving to the consumer, the better off. So that kind of ties to the next point. We do not recommend that you run network spots because you don't have the opportunity, obviously, for the call to action click here. We recommend that you direct this traffic to your site, have something compelling to say. Don't have a talking head video. By that, if you're doing your own videos, that's great, but don't have the general manager just talking about how great XYZ Honda is and we've been servicing cars for X number of years. You may introduce the general manager, but have stronger visuals to really captivate and come from a consumer perspective. With pre-roll, regardless if you're using TrueView or DoubleClick, you can geo-target, and this is the power that Google is giving every retailer. You can geo-target specific zip codes or a radius around your store. So for the larger towns like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Dallas, etc., it would be a tighter radius to really maximize the benefits. So go 10 to 20 miles outside around your dealership. If you really want to get a little more progressive, use zip codes where you know you've got the most likely audience. Focus on automotive intenders. And again, Google is giving us tremendous tools where if we're selling Hondas, I can zero in on not just people looking for the Honda Accord, I can also zero in on people that are shopping for Toyotas and Nissans, and specifically zero in on that audience. So for years, television was a great way to communicate a message. I live in the Minneapolis market. It's 3 million people. TV is expensive today, and it's not nearly as effective as what we're talking about because in the past, I had to market to my message to all 3 million. And as TV has become much more fragmented, this is a tremendous way to zero in and provide the message specific to your audience. A couple things about DoubleClick. In addition to the YouTube and the Google Display Network, we have the opportunity of zeroing in on additional smaller video sites as well as common sites, as we'll call it, over on the left. And so we're serving up to a larger audience. And our goal, as I'd mentioned, is to redirect the consumer off of that site and actually get them intrigued. Number one, redirect them to a website for the retailer, but then basically sell the value of the store, sell the product, whether it's a service campaign or a new model campaign, and then sell them specifically on why they should come into the store. As a company, here's what we typically see. I get into a lot of questions with GMs about, okay, I've been spending $20,000 a month with my network spots, and you're telling me I can run campaigns for $5,000, and the answer is absolutely yes. We have a lot of campaigns that are $1,000 a month. So for $1,000, you can anticipate typically 50,000 views. Partial views would mean they're watching 5 seconds. The typical CPM is going to vary. If you're a Lexus dealer or a Mercedes dealer and you or a company representing you are doing a good job, your CPM is going to be higher because we're only going to target, as a Lexus dealer, the Audi folks, Mercedes, etc. We're not going to serve up those ads with people looking for Chevrolet or Fords. So the CPM is going to have some variance. It's probably, as a matter of fact, sometimes as high as $20, so $12 to $20. Cost per view, and Peter mentioned what he sees nationwide, and it's in line with what he had touched on. 10 cents, 14 cents would be what we typically see. Cost per click-through, on an average, anticipate, let's say, for the numbers that we represent, $4 cost per click. Now, with the TrueView side, as Peter had mentioned, you're paying on completed views. With the double-click side, you transfer or it changes into a CPM. But regardless if you're paying a CPM, most dealers are still interested in finding out what's the click-through traffic to the website. This is a case study. We took the name of the dealership off, but you can see the impact of running pre-roll campaigns with a small budget, $1,000. This dealer was getting 35,000 views, 6,000 complete views, watching all 30 seconds, 292 click-throughs to the website. Cost per click, as mentioned, was under $4. Cost per completed view was at 17%. More importantly, to the retailers on the line, if you look at the impact that it made, both with truck sales, because the focus was in a mid-sized town, heavy competition, their market share for the trucks moved from 9.57% to 13%. And they actually ended up being the largest, they had the largest market share in their market, out producing the other competitors. Now, I actually visited with the dealer to get permission to share these stats, and he said, I will absolutely give you guys partial credit for helping me achieve this. He said, I won't give you 100%, but I absolutely believe that pre-roll was a key component in helping us gain this recognition. We would also recommend that the dealers, retailers, whether you're doing it on your own or you're using a company like UnityWorks Media, actually do some analysis on the post-click conversion. So we use a floodlight tag. This is an example that shows you specifically what takes place with the activity post-click and post-view. So just to explain this, somebody goes to watch one of these videos, or they get a video ad. We're interrupting the transaction, or we're interrupting what they were planning on doing. They were going to YouTube, or they were going to CNN, or Fox News, or ESPN to watch a video. The pre-roll pops up because they're an automotive intender. Some people may watch only 5 seconds, but if we do a good job of impacting and influencing that customer, they may click on a hyperlink and come to a page on your website as a dealer and then come back at some future point. They may just watch the video, and because of the influence of the pre-roll, may come back to the website at a future point. So post-click, post-view would be just that. The post-click would be they clicked, they went to the website, but they actually came back at a future point. And this is an Audi store, obviously. You can see it at the top. If you look at the number of post-clicks and post-views, there's an opportunity that some retailers may not be aware of. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about service pre-roll campaigns. And as Peter had mentioned, this is a huge opportunity. And even with us as a company, we've been heavily involved. We were one of the early ones really promoting video pre-roll to retailers. But even with our early adopters, a very small percentage of the dealers really thought about service as being an option. I personally believe that a big reason for that, most GMs grow up through the sales side, so they are always thinking, how can I push the envelope and gain market share? How can I sell additional cars? But I would encourage everybody listening in to consider allowing your service team to actually participate. One of the early adopters is Richard Bastille with Rick Case Honda. For those of you that don't recognize that name, they're the most profitable Honda store in the world. He's definitely a cutting-edge guy and believes in video and digital initiatives. Here's an example of a spot that we've been running for probably a year for Rick Case.
Click now for the only dealer that gives you the Rick Case Rewards Program. Rick Case Honda. Rick Case offers a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on all new and used vehicles. We offer roadside assistance, discounted gas, and free car washes for life. We service all makes and models. Keep your vehicle in great shape with Rick Case Rewards. No purchase necessary. Click on the video now and receive your rewards card today. You'll get peace of mind with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on all new and used vehicles. Just stop by for service and start saving hundreds, even thousands. Rick Case makes it easy to maintain your investment and save with our rewards program. Click now and get started today. Rick Case Honda, conveniently located on I-75 at Griffin Road.
So in that messaging, it's not just service. And Richard put together a clever spot. Even though it's a service campaign, if you listen to it closely, he's giving specific reasons why you should buy your next car at Rick Case. So he's spending $1,000 a month, getting 68,000, almost 69,000 partial views, a CPM of $14.54. 17% of the people elected to watch all of the video, all 30 seconds. 0.9% actually clicked over to the website. Cost per click is next to nothing. Next generation, so we're going to change gears. We've been talking about pre-roll. Let's change gears and talk a little bit about your VIN walkarounds. Most of you are probably involved in some type of video walkaround. We've been involved in what the market refers to as stitched video for 11 years, 10 and a half years we've been producing, and we produce a large volume of those on a monthly basis. So we still absolutely believe that stitched video is a great opportunity. The next generation, we believe, with at least a percentage of your cars, not all of them, let's say story cars as we like to call them, key units that you have something to talk about. This is a one-owner trade. We sold it new 3 years ago. We have the service records. Or specific models. Not every model, we believe, should have something a little more impactful. What is, let's say, one of the buzzwords is full motion type of video to complement the VIN walkarounds that companies like ours are doing from a stitch perspective. So we have an opportunity where a dealer can actually go out with a smartphone and replace the stitched video with content being done at the store level. And that can then be linked into the YouTube channel that you have these VINs set up at, AutoTrader, Cars.com, and of course your website. So here's an example of what that would look like.
This is the Forester the base Forester that we have. It does have the roof rail. Let me show you a little more about it. So here's the interior of the vehicle.
Now you also have the opportunity with this to personalize the messaging coming out of the dealership to make it a little more of a one-to-one, an opportunity to introduce yourself as an individual and also showcase the specific units.
Hi, John. This is Frank Rinaldi. I'm the e-commerce manager here at Kelly Nissan. Just wanted to let you know I sent you over an email with some of the pricing information you've requested.
So tools like this will separate the response that you're giving a customer compared to the other responses coming from the market. Let's change gears again and talk a little bit about the impact of video on your website. And if you think of all the dealers that you're competing with in your market, a lot of the websites look the same. There are opportunities or options that allow you, for example, to add a player. And I'm going to mute this so I can talk through it because I know we're running short on time. But a player allows you to add content that can come from a content provider like us or content that's being created by your agency or even, quite frankly, content being created at the store level. So a lot of you or some of you probably a lot of you are aware of this operation, Jeff Weiler. They're based in Kentucky and Ohio. Kevin Fry is one of the top recognized e-commerce directors, speaks a lot at the various shows. Kevin uses this type of approach to differentiate his operation from the other dealers in town. I talked a little bit about landing pages. Something that I'm excited about is with these landing pages that we have in the past, and we've had these for years, you have the ability to basically sell the message on the car as well as sell the message on the dealership. We now have the ability to actually add specific VINs. So if you think of the cycle that we're doing with pre-roll, we're focused specifically on automotive intenders with some type of offer. Our goal is to get them to click on a hyperlink and get them directed to a page like this, and then get them to the VDPs. And so there have been folks like Dale Pollock for years has been talking about the correlation on the Auto Trader site. If you get more traffic to VDPs, you'll sell more cars. Dealer.com has released a study recently basically showcasing the same conclusion with traffic to the dealer's website. The intent here is to do that. Sell the car, sell the dealership, get them into your individual inventory page. There are other options, such as the ability to showcase video specials where you can target, let's say, 3 or 4 offers and actually promote the individual offers for that individual month. A recommendation, if you're doing something like this, and our company builds a number of these on a monthly basis, we have hundreds of accounts that we're producing these, you have the ability to send this out as a video email campaign with your newsletter. This is a DealerOn site, and DealerOn actually leverages our service video content to, again, take it to the next level. And as Peter had mentioned, DealerOn actually provides the opportunity for dedicated service sites. And why not include video content that would be brand specific, showcasing, in this case, why somebody should go to your dealership to have the brakes repaired. And so video is a way of enhancing the experience once the customer hits those sites. So these are videos that you can shoot if you want to with your technicians, or there are companies like ours that can actually help provide this type of content. Now, we touched a little bit on some of the additional metrics that you can measure as far as post-click, post-view. We have some partners involved in email campaigns. This is a report from one of our partners, Advantage, and in essence what they have concluded, and if you look at the amount of traffic to the website in the January and April area, that's when they started including a video element with the email campaigns. And in essence, the Mike Jabers, the CEO and founder, his conclusion was when he's doing email campaigns, he wants to add video because he believes that he's getting a 18 to 20% lift as a result. So suggestion for the dealers listening in, use video as an email campaign. Don't just send off text. This is a slide from the folks at Auto Trader where, in essence, if you look at the traffic and if you're measuring, and this comes down to the million-dollar question that I get into with a lot of retailers, how can I connect the dots with video pre-roll with sold units? Well, we need to, A, keep in mind that this is advertising, so we'll never connect the dots 100%. B, keep in mind with your, whether you're selling new cars or used cars, a high percentage of the prospects will simply just walk in. They're not going to call in advance, they're not going to email you. If they're influenced during that research stage, a high percentage of the people, if they like what they see, they're going to respond. So one of the conclusions, hopefully, that a lot of you are coming to is leveraging video allows you to more effectively communicate that message. Next steps to really make an impact with your dealership, and actually some takeaways. Number one, develop a written plan. The reason I emphasize written, if you don't put it in writing, next week you'll be on to the next WebEx, and you'll get a lot of great ideas there. If you feel that this is beneficial or something that you need to include at the store level, put it in writing. A, develop a pre-roll campaign for both sales and service. Use a company like ours, do it on your own. Number 2, post video to your YouTube channel. Do-it-yourself videos, as Peter had mentioned, is an easy way to start. You don't have to start with 20. Do 1 a month. Number 3, develop a video strategy for your website. There are some stores probably represented. Lexus doesn't allow you to have a homepage player. Well, we work with JM Lexus. You can go to their page. If you go into some of their areas, you'll see some of the video content added to their site. It's just not on the homepage. Finally, use video, as I'd mentioned, both with email campaigns as well as test the opportunities in responding to these prospects that are sending you leads. With that, I'd like to just, Eliana, you want to touch on these suggested resources?
Yes, all of these resources can be found in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar display. If you go down there, it should be like all the way down towards the bottom practically, and they're all in PDF form and they're ready to download. If you have any problems downloading it, try double-clicking it. If you have a problem downloading it, I know there's one gentleman who is on the webinar today who's having problems. Simply email me at eliana@dealeron.com and I'll email them back to you. All right? Phil?
Okay, so takeaways. Number 1, and this is kind of very similar to what I just touched on. Number 1, get involved in pre-roll. Number 2, develop a video strategy for both sales and service. Don't forget about service. Number 3, test sending out video messages to the prospects. And then finally, create the service do-it-yourself videos. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, audience. I know you've already sent in a ton of great questions. If you haven't sent in your question yet, now would be the best time to do it because we're going to get to your questions in just a moment. So please send those questions in. Before we get to your questions, though, we got some fun to take care of. I wish I had some game show music for you right now. We have not 1, not 2, but 3 great prizes for you today. If you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, I announced that our good friends at UnityWorks Media and Google, they're giving away great prizes today. 3 of them, in fact. You get 3 chances to win. So if I were you, I'd get ready, get to your keyboards. First person to write in the correct response is going to be winning one of these awesome prizes today. Good luck, everyone. Now, we're going to start off with your chance to win a power bank battery. That's right. It's an external battery for your phone. Seriously, I think we all know this is super valuable and everyone needs this, right? If you don't have one, believe me, they're lifesavers. Okay, here is your question. Good luck, everyone. What percentage of automotive shoppers purchase the specific model selected after they've done their research phase? Geez, Louise, you know what? Honestly, I really thought this one was going to be a harder question, but I can't believe how many people got this right. Unbelievable. Okay, the first person to write in the correct response is Todd Lang. Lang? Todd, you're my winner. Todd, write on in. Let me know what dealership you're from, and also your mailing address would be very helpful as well. Todd, congratulations, and guess what, my friend? You're already a winner. You can sit these next 2 questions out, all right? All right, audience, for the rest of you, well, guess what? You have 2 more chances to win. The answer was 70%. Thank you for reminding me. Sorry, I thought everyone knew. Okay, here we go. Second question. Now, this one is for your chance to win a Google Chromecast. This latest technology release from Google is the easiest way to enjoy online video and music on your TV. You plug it into any HD TV and you can control it with your existing smartphone, tablet, or laptop. Let me tell you, I have the pleasure of having one of these. It is really, really as awesome as it sounds. Super easy to use. Believe me, if you don't have one, you're going to want one. Get ready, get to your keyboards. Here is your question. The number of hours people are watching YouTube each month is increasing by what percentage year after year? And if you haven't gotten the answer right, you can always try again. Oh, we do have a winner. What? Let's see. The first person to write in the correct response was, oh my gosh, I don't know how to say this name. Why do you guys give me the tough names? Deuce Marchakos? I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Deuce? I hope that's right. Deuce, congratulations. You are a winner of a Google Chromecast, and believe me, you are going to love that prize. Deuce I'm writing your name down, and as I'm butchering it as well, congratulations, Deuce. Hey, write on in. Give me your mailing address and also your dealership name so that I can give you a proper congratulations. By the way, the answer was 50%. The number of hours people are watching YouTube each month is increasing by what percentage year after year? 50%. That is a big percentage. Okay. Deus. Oh, you can verbally abuse me later about it. Deus. Oh my gosh. Okay. Don't worry. Guess what, audience? You have one more chance to win an awesome prize. This prize is valued like $1,000 or something. Let me see. It is a model video landing page for 5 months with a custom About Us video. Now, the model video landing page is an opportunity to direct your paid search traffic and video pre-roll traffic to a page that is video rich. This page provides an overview of your car by providing a virtual test drive, and it sells the store also with a video overview of the dealership in your new custom About Us video. This is a tremendous prize for your dealership. It's valued at over $1,000. Oh, I'm sorry, $880. And you're going to need this. You're going to want this. So this question's not easy. I hope you guys were paying attention. The question is, good luck everyone, by the way, what are the 2 dominant companies involved in serving pre-roll advertising? What are the 2 dominant companies involved in serving pre-roll advertising? Oh my gosh, somebody got it right. I really didn't think. What? wait. I gotta scroll up for this. The answer is no, it wasn't YouTube. No. Oh, double click and True View. That's right. Amy Datchell. I'm sure I'm ruining your name as well. Amy, why should you be left out of the party? Amy, congratulations. Amy Datchell. Datchell? Whatever. Amy, you know who you are. Send me your name, dealership name, and mailing address so that I can make sure I get these prizes out to you. Thank you, everyone, for playing along. Todd Lang, Deus Marchakos, and Amy Datchell, you are our winners today. Congratulations. You, of course, are going to be getting your prizes directly from UnityWorks Media and Google. Congratulations. And, of course, we want to thank our good friends at Google and UnityWorks Media for their incredible generosity. And, audience, don't worry if you didn't win this week. Guess what? We give away prizes every week. So tune in again next Thursday, and who knows, that could be the day you walk away with another cool prize. All right, Peter, Phil, did you guys get a drink of water? Are you ready for some of these awesome questions from our audience?
I'm ready.
We are ready.
Okay. Let me scroll up here to our very first question. Comes from Bruce. Bruce says, who usually does the production for the videos? Do we do it ourselves? Is it a commercial that we've already had done? So when you do videos and you post them on YouTube, would you post your dealership commercials, or are you making other videos entirely?
Okay, so I'll start, and then Peter, you can add to it. So UnityWorks Media actually produces video content for dealers across the country. So you could use a company like ours to produce content specific for video pre-roll advertising. We can help you produce About Us videos. We don't send a team out to shoot content. We have stock footage, and some content, running footage, photos of the store would need to be sent to us. There are dealers, depending on the bandwidth that you have at the store and your budgets, especially for the YouTube videos. I highly recommend that you produce a lot of those contents on your own. Now, they should be tastefully done. And that job should not be assigned to somebody that can't do anything else. You should have somebody with some skills, obviously, in video production so that they look nice and clean and professional. But you don't have to have Academy Award-winning videos because, quite frankly, if it's off a little bit, some of those have charm and it resonates with the people. So if the question is geared to what type of video content should I have on YouTube, should we do it in-house? Absolutely. The pre-roll ads, I believe, should be at the next level, have a higher quality, but you don't have to spend a fortune for the pre-roll spots, but typically that will take an agency or a company like ours to produce that.
Okay, now we have actually got a follow-up question from Bruce. He actually has a lot of questions for you guys, so stay tuned for some more questions from Bruce, like this one. Bruce also wrote in, what if you embed the YouTube video on your website? Does that impact the SEO value of your site just because that video is on YouTube, or it doesn't? What's the impact of putting a video on your website? Peter, Phil?
Well, I'll let Peter lead on that since it's a Google question.
Yeah, that's a great question, Bruce. And in full transparency, I'm not an SEO expert. So I do encourage, if Phil has a specific recommendation or your website provider might be able to direct you more. What I do know from reading the trades is that you know, the algorithms for SEO always continue to change across search engines and certainly across Google to keep up with consumer demand. And there have been reports in the trades and third parties and things where Google is looking for these social signals to really understand you know, what's resonating best with customers. And knowing that, you know, social recommendations are really important to consumers, knowing that video is important to consumers, it's certainly not going to hurt you by uploading this type of content to your website and having this type of content on them. This is the direction of where consumer behavior is going, and I would venture to guess, this is my statement, not a Google statement, that, you know, video components will only continue to become increasingly leveraged from a consumer standpoint, and therefore probably play a larger role long-term in some of these algorithms. So I do think that by leveraging a platform like YouTube, again, it's free to upload videos. You can, you know, host those videos on your website. It counts as video views from there. Those are all things that are great at gaining exposure, and we can certainly help you reach some of those customers.
All right, so yeah, just to add to what Peter's saying, we have some of our groups that absolutely believe what the question was. Now, we have our own player, and so we're not linking it to a YouTube player. So we actually host a player within these sites, and you have the ability to tag. We believe that there's a benefit because Google does place a higher value on video content. We don't have actual stats that we can send you in, let's say, a white paper. But one thing to be a little cautious on, depending on if you're framing in a YouTube video, make sure that the competitors' video content is not being pulled at the same time. And so that's why as you're doing the research, if you can use an outside player to host and showcase content on your site, that would be a best practice, and then you have the ability to tag it. And as I had mentioned, some of the larger, more dominant players that we're involved with absolutely want that benefit, and they see that as an opportunity.
Thank you so much. I love the time you took to answer that question for Bruce. We have some other great questions to get to, like this one from Michael. And Peter, you kind of hinted around at this answer, but I just want to see if maybe you had some expanded answers to provide for Michael. He says, what video presentations from service departments do you feel that consumers view most and get more action by consumers?
Yeah, that's a great question on that component, and I'm trying to flip back to my slide just to make sure I quote myself appropriately here. But when we talk about the service drive, DIY videos are increasingly the most leveraged videos in that service process. That's what customers are looking for most. 49% of them, almost half of these customers are looking at understanding the services that they provide. or excuse me, how to do something. The other component that many dealerships are doing and seeing success over is, you know, on the sales side of the house, if I can go that side for a moment, we see on vehicle detail pages extensive information, including videos on the car, the walk around, what's under the hood, the technology, everything of that nature. There's very few dealerships who today on the service side are really talking about each of their services, and really not just a DIY message, but educating customers on, yeah, is it time for new tires? You know, here's some tests that you can do to check if it's time for new tires. Do you need new brake pads? Here are some signs that you might want to consider. If your vehicle is doing X, Y, and Z, then yeah, it's probably time for new brake pads. So I'd almost call those product videos or product overview videos, if you will. Educational is key. You know, on YouTube alone, we see a lot of how to do I need, you know, when do I need new tires or brakes, and how do I change, you know, my oil. Those are the types of queries that are coming to us most frequently, specifically on YouTube. And I think there's an opportunity not only to provide some of that DIY messaging, which is really saying, you probably shouldn't do this yourself, come into us and here's why. And also those product videos, if you will. You know, is it time for new tires? Here's some things you can do to check.
Okay, thank you so much. Great question, Michael. And all right, Peter. And Phil, are you? He's doing it already. Okay. All right, let's see. What's our next question? We have so many good questions. Okay, this next one comes from Bruce, different Bruce. Still a good Bruce. Bruce says, will too many videos on a responsive site slow down the page loading speed? Guys?
I've not seen that. No, I don't believe that that's the case, but you have to, it depends on the player configuration and with your video partner. And for example, and I won't get into a lot of detail, our servers are connected with a group called Akamai. Akamai is a series of server farms all over the world to make sure that the experience is good, and we've spent a lot of money to make sure that the video experience is good. So I'm not going to speak for, let's say, every company or every individual dealer trying to add video content. That's been our go-to-market focus for 11 years now, supporting dealers with the capability of adding video content to the website. So we have over a decade experience, and we're working with a lot of big names as far as with the retailers, and they would be very, very concerned if they were having any issues by adding video content.
I got you. Okay, we have a ton of more questions to get to, so, and we still have a lot of people on the line, so I'm going to just keep plowing through these questions. Gentlemen, if you could get to your answers very, very quickly, I'm sure it would be very appreciated. Michael asks, what is the recommended maximum duration videos should be?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I'll take a stab at that because that's something we try to watch, and I think if it's in excess of a minute, with a lot of this video content, people will start losing the attention. So I do not recommend that you have 5-minute or 10-minute video overviews. Now, with that stated, there are some videos that I've noticed that dealers are doing on their own where they're top-notch video overviews of the cars, and they're going 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and the views are great. I don't know what the completed view rates are because some of these are groups that are outside of our world, but 1 minute would be a good bullet point to focus on. And Peter, you may have some stats from Google showing or giving insight on this.
Yeah, Phil, from a, you know, really from the answer depends, and the best answer I can give you in a short time frame is, if we're talking about an advertisement, you know, I would keep it at the 30-second mark or under. If we're talking about an informational video, you'll see people who will watch beyond that 30 seconds, minute, or, you know, up to the 2-minute mark. You know, we also see a lot of success that if there's something complicated that you want to get across, you know, have module videos. Keep them in kind of tight segments, 2 minutes, and if you want to continue on, click on the next video type of a thing. That will work. But again, advertising, 30 or under. You know, educational, instructive, that can certainly go with that mark.
Okay, thank you so much for those answers. All right, your next question comes to you from John. John says, I'm a videographer, cinematographer, and I'm contracted by a large automotive group with multiple Toyota and Honda stores. I film detailed vehicle walkarounds, and special projects. But he says, I have issues with YouTube recognizing my intros and bumpers in the videos and not allowing the upload due to other similar videos already being on our channel. Is there any way to get around this? Peter?
Yeah, and it was John, correct?
It was John, yes.
Yeah, good question, John. Unfortunately, I'm not a tech specialist here, so I'll have to follow up with you. Feel free to email me at cleto@google.com, and I'll look into it.
Thank you so much. All right, John. Next question comes to you from Tony. He says, for Peter, is there any downside to iframing other companies' videos on our site? For instance, a national safety video. That's from Tony.
Yeah, a great question as well, Tony. Again, I'm sorry with the technical components. iframing I'm not as familiar with. Phil, I don't know if you have any feedback there, but if not, I can follow up on that one as well.
Yeah, in essence, we use iframing a lot, and we iframe in, or and that's if we're taking over a page and iframe in the video content, that's something, again, that we've been using for years. Virtually all the website companies will allow that type of configuration, so I would not be concerned about iframing in content coming from an outside source.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony. Let me know if you have another. Oh, you do have another question coming up. All right, Peter, this next one's for you. I remember this one. This gentleman, Sean, he wrote in and asked if you could repeat the statistics on the number of videos uploaded daily and the number of videos viewed daily. You had it in your you had it in your presentation, and I guess it went by Sean too fast. So the number of videos uploaded daily and the number of videos viewed daily.
Yes, no problem. I actually had it in my speaking notes here, so just to make sure that I quote the same number as the last time, I'm just going back to my notes here. Give me 1 second. I apologize. Let's see here. And of course, I've messed up my notes here. Okay, so 300 hours of video content is uploaded every single minute to YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
300 hours of video content uploaded every single minute to YouTube. And give me, Eliana, what was the question?
The number of videos viewed daily.
That is a good question. I don't recall giving a number of videos viewed metric. I do know there's a billion users with millions of videos viewed each day is the official language that I've had from our Google side. I don't know that we disclose it beyond millions of videos each day.
Got you. All right. Well, Sean, if you have a follow-up question, you know we're always here for you. All right, gentlemen, your next question comes in from Tom. He says, as far as the presentation of videos goes, would it be better to use Vimeo to display on dealer websites and then also post them on YouTube? Or does the linking of the displayed video hosted on YouTube give you better Google juice? Which would outweigh the cleaner display from Vimeo?
Why don't you email me and I'll connect and I'll get a couple of our tech folks and we can talk through that. That's a pretty specific question.
I know, but you know, yes. YouTube is owned by who? I mean, wouldn't it have better Google juice if you put it on YouTube?
I'll answer that question like this, Eliana, and that is, if you're putting a video on YouTube, the propensity of someone to see it respectfully on YouTube versus perhaps on your dealership website and share it is higher on YouTube, a very social platform, than on your dealership website. So I would argue that regardless of the company that owns YouTube, the ability to have that video go viral and be shared across the social web will only amplify your ability to get your message out there. So I would move towards hosting on YouTube for that reason alone.
I would agree with you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We did have a couple of questions coming in about a replay because I know we're running really long. Yes, hopefully the record function is working properly today and we won't have any problems whatsoever. And a link to the recording is going to be emailed to everyone later today. All right. So thank you so much for those questions. Let's get to another question. This next one comes from Elmer. He says, question for Peter. On viewing DIY videos and two types of people viewing, which percent are just researching and which percent are looking to really do it themselves? I don't know if that was in your study, Peter.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, and I will give that for feedback to the team to try to examine that further. But unfortunately, I don't know that the full data would cut that way. They have to go look back at the study to see if we do have that percentage broken out. I would imagine we would, because if we know that's the two types of DIY videos we saw, or you know, people that you would think we would have those percentages. But I don't know that they were ever published. Great question. You haven't been asked it before. We'll certainly try to look into that and follow up via DealerOn.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Great question, Elmer. Okay. Tony had a great question. Tony wrote in. By the way, this is when we were discussing video pre-roll. And you showed a promotion video, right? So Tony's question is, after these promotions end, does the pre-roll video get removed automatically from YouTube, or is that something you have to go back in and like physically remove it after the promotion has ended?
It depends on the provider. So if you're doing it yourself, you have to make sure that you take it down. If you're using a company, they should be doing that for you.
Okay, so YouTube doesn't, there's no end date to a video being used, is the question.
Well, and if I can answer, just to be clear, yeah, Phil is right. You would need, if you're advertising, if you're using a video to advertise on YouTube, you can certainly, in your campaigns, put start and end dates on it, but that video will be live on YouTube, and so as you upload the video, you would have to, as the owner of that video, go on and delete it if you did not want it to be seen anymore.
Got you. All right.
So
all right.
The video will always exist on YouTube without you deleting it. However, if you wanted to advertise against that video only, you know, there are start and stop end dates that you can put, and after that you won't see the video being advertised anymore, though it would still live somewhere along in YouTube.
Okay, all right. Tony, thank you so much for the great question. Next question, gentlemen, comes to you from Bill. Bill says, what should a monthly video plan cost for best results? And what is the best tracking info after 1 month? In other words, what would you spend? Who wants to take this one, Phil?
So I'll start, and then Peter can certainly add in. The majority of our pre-roll campaigns are $1,000 to $5,000. We have some dealers that are spending $15,000 to $20,000. Those are big markets. They're very bullish. They believe in pre-roll, and they've gotten a lot more aggressive. So some of it depends on the size of your town. Let's say you're in a town with 1 million people. A good starting point would be $1,000 to $3,000 to get everybody to understand the return, to track the metrics and see specifically what's taking place, and then you can go from there. With the dealers that are spending $15,000, they didn't start at that level. They started at a smaller point to validate it. It's a newer concept. If you've never run pre-roll, that would be my recommendation.
Okay. Peter, anything to add?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off that, and you know, video is video. So you know, whether we're talking about television or online, and in today's world, video is video. I think when I worked in television ad sales, you would never buy one, one spot, because we'd say, well, that's not going to reach enough people, and it's not going to give you the impact or the lift that you're looking for. The opposite is sort of true online, and while I agree with Phil's metrics, absolutely, in terms of averages, $1 is better than nothing at all, just simply because you know that you're only reaching people if they're watching your ad in full, et cetera, and you can measure impact of that. So again, it is going to depend on market, but if you think about the marketing mix, if you think about, you know, the 75% of auto shoppers are spending their research process online, or 75% of their time is spent online, it is really a low-hanging fruit opportunity. And frankly, I couldn't agree more with Phil in terms of prioritization. Search shows intent still. It's still the lowest in the funnel, but video is honestly next. For those of you who have had the pleasure of being in front of, I used to talk about search, display, and video. And now I talk about search and video and then display because of this accountable ad format. And so I really challenge you, whatever other platforms you're looking at, whatever you're looking at from a digital perspective, just focus first on what is going to give you the most accountability for your dollars. And I'm bullish on TrueView for that reason, because of the cost per engagement metric that it allows.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to get through these last handful of questions as quickly as possible, so hang in there with us. Gentlemen, your next question comes to you from Tanner. Tanner says, when uploading a video, are tags very important? The more the better? What's your answer on that?
So yes, critical. I don't know if more is better.
Yeah, that's what.
I'll let Peter add. The obvious is they're critical for tagging. So Peter, you want to add to the type of tagging they should look at for, and it obviously depends on the type of video that you're promoting in the YouTube page.
Yeah, I'll look into that one as well, and maybe pass along information through Eliana that she can distribute to attendees. But at the end of the day, you know, there's what we call stuffing, right? Tag stuffing that happens on websites. The same can be true with video. There seems to be a science there that I don't know that Google necessarily gives the secret sauce to the answers of how to have your video ranked, if you will. But I think there's some guidance that we might be able to provide. So I'll look into that question of what is too much and what's not enough.
Okay.
But the answer is there's definitely an art in there in terms of balance.
Agreed. Okay, hey Phil, we have a couple questions that came in specifically about UnityWorks Media, so I'm going to throw these over to you. First question came in from John. He says, can you give some examples of current videos you have on About Us pages? Do you have a good About Us page about a dealership that he can check out?
Yeah, let me do this. Get John's email, and I'll send you a couple links where you can see a couple good ones.
You don't have a dealership off the top of your head we could give him?
Hang on a second.
No, don't leave me. Did he just leave me?
No. I was talking to Tricia. I've got Tricia. She runs the account management, so I'm going to trust her judgment on this. Atlanta Toyota. She was giving me an example. Go to Atlanta Toyota. We did not shoot the footage. We created the About Us video, but that's a good one that you can go to.
Okay, well, you can tell Tricia she's got some fans. People are writing in, Tricia rocks. All right, so, all right, John, you heard Atlanta Toyota. Go check that one out, all right? All right, next question comes to you from, one of our winners today, Amy. She wrote in, I'm sorry, this is from Michael. I apologize. This is from Michael. On videos that UnityWorks produces for dealers, what deflection rate by consumers is seen in analytics?
Deflection rate.
I don't know.
So abandon rate, I think is. So some of the key metrics, and specifically with pre-roll, she may be asking, just clarify if we're talking about a bounce rate.
Okay, it's from Michael. I apologize.
Or from Michael.
Amy, we're going to get to your question next, okay? But yeah, it's from Michael. And Michael, are you talking about
Michael? Yeah, bounce rate.
I don't know. He didn't write back in yet.
Okay, so there are a couple things that we should be looking at.
Oh, he said yes. He wrote
bounce rate.
Yes.
All right, so the bounce rate will be higher with video pre-roll, and we've actually been working on some initiatives to actually lower that bounce rate. And so some of you that have been running pre-roll in the past may have seen higher bounce rates than normal. I think a lot of the market will say that it needs to be 29%, 30%, and lower to be acceptable. When you're looking at pre-roll, the bounce rate will be higher for the reasons I'd mentioned earlier. We're interrupting the consumer in the process. Their intent is not to go to a pre-roll ad. And that's where the post-view and the post-click metrics are absolutely critical. And as I'd mentioned, we're actually going through some steps to actually move and adjust the bounce rate to what most dealers would expect as a lower component. Now, what would that be? Let's say in the 40s, 50%. That may sound alarmingly high, but that's where the post-click activity becomes critical so that you can measure the entire package. How many people go to the website, and then what's happening after the fact.
Michael wrote in and said thank you. David wrote in and said a higher bounce rate doesn't mean that there is necessarily a problem. If you're giving the people the content that they want on the first page that they get to, the bounce rate will be higher, but that's because you already gave them what they wanted. Just my humble opinion. Thank you, David.
Very good response, David.
And follow-up question comes in from Amy. She says, what can cause a significant decrease in clicks, like 50% in our pre-roll ads? How can we make them more click-worthy?
All right, so I'll start, and Peter, I know you've got opinions on this. The better the video coming from a customer perspective, the better the click-throughs, the better the completed view rate. So if you've got a bad video, they're only going to watch 5 seconds, and they're going to leave at a very high rate after that. So as a rule of thumb, and serving up the appropriate audience as far as how you're serving up these ads, making sure that the messaging is done properly. I would not recommend, I've actually seen some dealers messaging these using pre-roll like they did cable and or TV where it's across the entire market. Well, that's the power that Google's giving us, is to be highly selective and to focus on in a geo-targeted area with automotive intenders. And if you're serving up the proper ads with the right message, then your completed view rate should be, let's say, 15 to 25%. We've had some of the numbers where they're as high as 30. So if your completed view rate is 8% or 10%, something's wrong. And then, as I had shared, the click-through rate against the top line, against the 50,000 or the 80,000 or the 100,000 folks that are seeing at least 5 seconds, the click-through rate should be at least 0.5% to, let's say, 1.5%. I've seen them as high as 2%. And so that's a key component. So if your numbers are off from that, look at the way you're serving up your ads, and look at the message. The message may be bad, and you may be zeroing in on the wrong audience.
Gotcha. Peter, anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say I agree with everything Phil said. I mean, relevancy is so important in our world today. Right customer, right message, right time is critical, and I can't piggyback enough off of that. There are two things here. Number one, despite all the great work that UnityWorks Media has done in getting people to click through to the dealerships, to the websites and things, and interacting with the ad itself, I'm going to argue that we are still conditioned as consumers to watch videos as commercials. And you're not going to see the same interaction rates that you might see with a search result ad because they're just two different platforms. We look at video still in commercial basis. With that said, again, as Phil has demonstrated in the case studies, when you do provide relevancy, we are seeing those click-through rates, as you saw those great statistics that they had. The other way to look at success of these too is just if you're running a good market share. In other words, you're not just running one ad to one person, but you are saturating your market with these types of ads when customers are looking for you. You might also see some sort of incremental search lift as well. Organic or paid visits to your dealership website. You saw from the study earlier today, 25% of shoppers who watch a video will immediately go and search. We're conditioned to search. Sometimes it's funny, there's an option to click in a video to the website, yet our minds are conditioned to go back to Google or Yahoo or Bing in conductor space. So, that might be something else to look for. But again, Phil's answer was spot on in terms of that relevancy component and giving the customer a video of exactly what they're interested in. Got you.
Okay, great answers. Thank you so much. Now, we just have a couple more questions to get through, so I do appreciate your brevity.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to leave in about 3 minutes.
Keep it short, Phil. Okay. Your next question comes from Chris. He says, when making a hook for a pre-roll video, what's the best method? I've heard from one agency that humor and a personal message is best, and from another agency that the hook should center around the deal. What's the most effective way to hook a viewer?
We're very bullish on the hook being tied to an offer. Now, with that stated, I think that well-done humor will grab the attention of the customer. And so I am not saying if it's professionally done, and quite frankly, that's one of the issues we've talked about internally. If it's humor done poorly, where it looks hokey, then that's going to be a bad experience for the customer. Good humor, and for example, Burger King, believe it or not, or interestingly, you don't think of Burger King as being a tech-savvy company. They've done a lot of research, and you can do the search on YouTube to find out what that research looks like. They added an element of humor tied specifically to pre-roll. They've spent a lot of money zeroed in on that, and those are some of the initiatives that we look at. I think 1 year from today, 2 years from today, we'll have a lot of additional insight, even though pre-roll has been around for some period of time. I think we've been involved with pre-roll as a company for 3 years in automotive. That's still fairly young, but with the huge opportunities that Google is providing retailers, as more and more people jump into this arena, and as companies like ours explore other ways to create that hook, it will become clearer and clearer. Quite frankly, I think there are going to be a multitude of various types of campaigns as time goes on.
Peter, did I lose you? Are you still here? Do you have anything to add?
I may have gotten a little verbal.
Tricia, you were supposed to kick him. I think we might have lost Peter.
I went on mute. Yeah, I agree with. Again, I agree with Phil. We're starting to become one mind here, but this is
because I've been hanging out. I'm learning from you, Peter.
We've been the other way around. You're Mr. Video. I'm just a Google guy. But this is, you know, I really would think about this in terms of the hook more so than the humor. I mean, that's what's going to grab people's attention. And really, if you run these TrueView ads too, I mean, there is a branding component. You have 5 seconds before a customer is even able to skip. So what are you going to do in those 5 seconds to get a customer's attention? You know, are we going to introduce ourselves for a branding play? Are we going to quickly mention that offer? You know, is that joke, if you're using humor, going to come across in 5 seconds? So I really encourage you to you know, think about those components, but generally speaking, I would bet more on the hook or the deal versus or the value proposition of your dealership versus the humor.
Okay.
And if it is humorous, add the hook, because if it's only humorous and you have a higher completed view rate, but you've got little action after that, what's the point? And so I think it's important to keep in mind, as Peter is alluding or suggesting, you know, remember why you're trying to get this pre-roll spot in front of the audience.
Gotcha. Okay, 30 seconds or less. How do you recommend getting your service and parts managers interested in doing video? Peter, I'm going to let you go first so I can let you go.
No, I appreciate it. I'm sorry for
no, believe me, this went super long, so I really appreciate all your time, and I know the audience does too.
These have been great questions. If the next meeting weren't with the boss, I would stick around. You know, honestly, it is really about education, and I think sometimes in our business we're too close to our own business. I'm too close to the tech side of things and advertising, and I have to take a step back and think about what's happening outside of my world. And I would argue that the parts and service managers have to do the same thing. The reality of the situation is we are at a turning point now more than ever where we're either going to evolve and adapt or we're going to become extinct. And that might be a harsh comment to make. I recognize that, and I don't necessarily truly mean extinct. It's a little bit dramatic. But we have an opportunity to increase market share or to decrease market share. And this is a critical component where our customers are going online. Consumer behavior as a whole is changing. If you take a step out of automotive and think about literally everything is being connected to the web and to each other, and those things that are not are becoming obsolete. So do you want to become Blockbuster Video, or do you want to become Netflix? And that's really the situation where I think we have to do, I hate to say it, scare tactic. It's the reality. But get them interested in this macro phenomenon that's happening, and then hopefully they can start to attend different seminars, webinars like this, et cetera, to just fit in and hear from some of the industry people as well.
Ouch, you really threw out the Blockbuster reference. Ouch. All right, Peter, I'm going to let you go. We'll stick it out with for the rest of the time with Phil. And thank you so much for being here. I hope it won't be long before we see each other, and certainly hope it won't be long before you webinar again with us here at the DealerOn Education Series. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Pleasure being with you guys again, and thank you to the audience who attended today with such great questions. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care. Thank you so much. All right, Phil, let's hear from you. What would you say to a service and parts manager to get them to finally do video?
Okay, so I added a couple articles that I've written over the years, and as Eliana mentioned, I've been writing for Dealer Magazine, Digital Dealer for a number of years, and one is specifically geared towards service. There's another article titled something about the old generation, old guard surviving the digital age, and that would be for the service and parts people, and the intent of that is for the general manager that's reluctant to actually step into digital initiatives. And quite frankly, I've met a lot of service managers that fall into that camp. I attended a service and parts opportunity, a service and parts conference, and I saw firsthand that most of the service managers are not educated when it comes to digital initiatives. And so how do you get educated? Well, A, you go to some of these conferences, you attend them, and there's some great opportunities. There's a conference coming up in Vegas with Digital Dealer. CBT News is going to be hosting a conference in January. Go to a digital conference, not NADA, a digital conference. Number two, let them listen to this session. Everybody's going to get a track or a link to this overview. Have your service manager sit down and listen to it. It's an hour investment. Have them read a couple of these articles to get them to start thinking about how they should be changing the direction with their advertising and their focus to stay ahead of the game. And I think Peter's right, dead on. The number that he shared at the beginning, where 28 or 29% of the dollars are being shared or captured by the dealership versus the independents. That's an alarming number, and that's going to continue to erode. Most general managers, dealers are aware that over the last 5 years the service and parts area has eroded. Here's a way to capture some of that back.
Okay, well, you heard it. Thank you so much. All right, Phil. And, of course, Peter, who's no longer with us. Phil, thank you so much. It's always a good day when I got Mr. Video on my show.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. You always do a great job, Ellen.
I'm trying to keep up with you. This awesomeness, this automotive awesomeness that you bring me all the time, every single time. And I appreciate you, man. Fantastic presentation. Of course, I want to remind the audience a link to...
And hey, one more thing, and just as Peter mentioned, I'd like to thank the audience for dialing in for this.
Yeah, there's still a lot of them hanging around, too. Audience, you guys rock today. I know it was a really, really long seminar, but we appreciate you so much. Of course, I want to remind you a link to download a copy of this webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later today. Please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues, and maybe even your service managers. Today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. Just go to dealeron.com/webinar. From there, you can also view our upcoming webinar schedule or access any of our past webinars. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, you're going to receive a short survey. Fill it out. We want to know what you thought of today's presentation. I mean, come on. Seriously, I need to know. You got to fill it out. It's 6 short questions. We're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win a couple of Google prizes. And invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next webinar, how to make dealership videos that don't suck. Oh, that's timely. In their eye-opening 1-hour webinar, automotive trainer and author Matt Koenig will pull no punches as he tells dealers why their typical dealership video tactics aren't driving conversion, and how to use mobile phones to increase email conversion, turn more phone-ups into appointments, and build lasting relationships. Attendees of this fast-paced presentation will learn how to get deeper connections with every customer that contacts the dealership, how to turn a customer who leaves into a be-back, how to get internet shoppers to give you their mobile phone numbers, and how to create posts on Facebook and Twitter that people actually care about. Best of all, you'll learn how to turn more buyers into repeat buyers with one simple device, your mobile phone. Isn't it time you start making dealership videos that don't suck and actually convert? You need to put this one on your calendar. Don't miss it. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, I'm your girl. Contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana Raggio. I'd love to hear from you. Please track me down online, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and I'm on all of the automotive social networks, or you can email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on another webinar in DealerOn's continuing education series. Take care.